These tears are not ordinary tears. It was an inaudible scream of the soul, and I had never seen Jungkook like that. The phrase came out of the mouth of BTS's Seokjin, Jin, with a trembling voice in an exclusive interview just released by HYBE labels. A confession that instantly silenced the public, left millions of armies around the world speechless, and raised an urgent question. What really happened to Jungkook? In a very emotional and tense atmosphere, Jin, the oldest member of BTS, revealed his personal experiences that he had not revealed in years. Amid the excitement over Jin's return from military service, the public did not expect that he would choose this moment to open old wounds, not physical wounds, but mental wounds that had been neatly hidden by the members. I know he is strong. I think I know he's okay. But that day, he's ruined. And none of us are ready to deal with it. A night that changed everything according to Jin's confession. The event took place long before BTS announced the group's vacuum. At that time, the members were in the rehearsal room ahead of the massive promotion for the last album before the hiatus. No one expected that the night would be a silent witness to the most fragile side of Jungkook, the man who has been known as the Golden Magne, a figure who is always cheerful, full of spirit, and strong in the face of global pressure. Jin told me that night they had just finished a grueling training session. Jungkook, who is usually the most active and vocal when discussing choreography or song arrangements, sat in silence. Something looks different. His eyes were blank, his body stiff, and when one of the members asked his opinion, he simply replied softly, "Me, don't know what to say." Tears that shook the studio shortly after, Jin heard a sob from the corner of the rehearsal room. As he turned his head, Jungkook had bent over. His shoulders were shaken, and tears were dripping profusely onto the floor. All members were silent. There was nothing to say. Jungkook's cry wasn't just an emotional outburst. It was the most honest expression of an idol who had been carrying a burden for too long. The crying is like people who beg to be understood but do not know where to start. I got goosebumps. Even now I can still hear her sobbing in my head. Jin said, the event was allegedly an internal turning point in the dynamics of BTS. Although it was not officially announced to the public at the time, internal HYBE is said to have begun to consider reducing the workload of the members, given the mental impact that is starting to be seen. The invisible burden of a Jungkook. The public has always known Jungkook as a multi-talented artist who always performs at his best. But behind the scenes, the pressure he endured was almost inhuman. Since the age of 13, he has been part of the brutal entertainment industry. With ever-increasing public expectations and the role of the youngest member who must continue to catch up with his Hyung, Jungkook grows up with pressures that not even all adults are able to deal with. He wants to be perfect. Always. He demands too much of himself, Jin said as he took a deep breath. When asked why he was talking about this only now, Jin answered honestly, "Because then we didn't know how to talk. We're all scared. Not afraid of the public, but afraid that if we start talking, then we will have to admit that we are also hurt." HYBE's reaction and silent silence after the interview was published. HYBE declined to provide additional comment on the details mentioned by Jin. But an internal company source confirmed that one of the main reasons for the group's decision to go on hiatus was the mental and emotional state of the members, especially Jungkook. The public began to associate the crying moment with Jungkook's various appearances in the past that looked different. She was seen looking down and avoiding eye contact during the Permission to Dance on Stage concert in Seoul. Many fans now claim to understand that behind her smile that night, there may have been invisible pain. ARMY crying together as soon as Jin's confession spread. The hashtags containing support for Jungkook were trending in various countries without the need to promote. But what is surprising is not the trend, but the type of reaction shown by the ARMY. Not anger, not disappointment, but guilt. Many fans wrote that they now feel guilty for demanding more songs, more content, more live, without realizing that Jungkook may be struggling just to survive. One of the viral posts on the Weverse platform reads, "We said we love you, but do we love you only when you smile and dance? Forgive us, Jungkook." Jin as a brother, not just a colleague in his confession, Jin showed not only concern, but also guilt. He said that as a hyung, he should be more sensitive and ask more questions. But in the world of K-pop, a culture of hard work and demands for professionalism often masks the space to ask, "Are you really okay?" I want people to know that idols like Jungkook are not machines. He's human. He needs space, need a break, needs someone who listens. From crying to collective consciousness, this recognition has changed the way many people see the Korean entertainment industry. Korean pop culture analysts are starting to see this as a turning point in the narrative of mental health in the K-pop industry. It's no secret that many idols face severe pressure from an early age. But very rarely there is a narrative that comes directly from the inner circle as the genie conveys. Cultural sociologist from Yonsei University, Professor Min Soo-hyun, stated, "Jin's statement had a tremendous impact because he didn't blame anyone but also didn't cover up the truth. It's a step forward towards openness and reform." What happened next? After the interview, there has been no official response from Jungkook. However, a source close to him said that Jungkook knew the contents of Jin's interview and responded with deep emotion. He reportedly wrote a personal letter to Jin, the contents of which will not be published, but said to contain thanks and relief. Meanwhile, the ARMY continues to show their support by sending positive messages, artwork, and campaigns to support the mental health of BTS members. Many consider this moment to be the beginning of an era of emotional maturity in the BTS fandom, which has been known for its closeness to their artists. The new ending, transparency, not just sensation. Jin's confession is not just hot news or a momentary sensation. This is a strong signal that a new generation of idols, including BTS themselves, are starting to break down the old stigma where emotions must be hidden and weakness is considered a failure. If I could rewind time, I would have sat longer that night. I would tell him, "It's okay if you're not strong today. We still love you," said Jin with teary eyes. Now, the world awaits whether Jungkook will respond publicly. But even more important is, the public has learned the other side of their beloved star. And in that knowledge lies a collective awareness that they love Jungkook not only for his voice, his face, or his dancing, but because he is a human being who dares to cry in the midst of a world that always demands him to smile. Deep reflection on Jungkook's tears, fact, emotion, or sensation, as Jin's statement spread across various social media platforms, from TikTok, YouTube, to Twitter. The public reaction was mixed. There are those who cry, those who are surprised, and not a few who question. Did this event really happen? Or is this just a very finely crafted fabrication to stir up public emotions and attract global media attention? This question is not just rhetorical. It is a call for all of us, both as fans and as consumers of digital information, to reflect on how we absorb, trust, and spread the word. Are we simply following the flow of a moving narrative, or are we taking a step back to ask, who is relaying this information? For whose benefit? Is there any concrete evidence? We cannot deny that the narrative of Jungkook crying touches the deepest side of our humanity. This is a narrative that touches on the collective wounds of humanity, about pressure, about the inability to express feelings, and about being alone in a crowd. However, can we be sure that the event took place as described? Until now, there has been no visual documentation or live recordings that show the moment factually. All that is available is a verbal statement from the genie, delivered in an interview format. Other sources of information circulating on TikTok and YouTube are mostly narrative and emotional, with no independently verifiable data or chronology support. So it is natural to ask, is this an authentic fact, or is it part of a strategically packaged emotional construct? The role of social media in influencing opinion.